did. My number of meetings increased about 100 times with this new position. So I am in 100 more meetings a week than I was 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Seriously, though.
This is more you ever aspired.
Yeah.
Well, the meeting has started and there's a few of us here. I'm just gonna, maybe, I don't know, Adriana, are you a co-host? Can you just let in people as they come?
I'm not sure I am. I was just checking. Yes, I am. Okay, yeah, I can let
Okay.
people in.
Okay, cool. All right, so thanks everyone for joining. Today's agenda includes 2 items, one short item, one slightly longer item. And the first one is just giving an overview of our July meeting because we didn't have a virtual meeting in July. So this is when the EC had a hybrid meeting where we met for about 2.5 to 3 days, and it was more like a workshop, and we discussed a bunch of things. So we talked about ACM and various points of engagement with ACM, for instance, to do with conferences and interactions, vendor contracts, memberships, chapter concerns, and so on. Then we took a more of a high-level view to talk about structures in general. So that included things like high-level view of conferences and community support and just all the different kinds of initiatives we've been planning and what we want to do for the next couple of years. And then we talked about conferences for half a day, and those are basically around the points of view of the different members that were present. So thinking about the future of conferences, what we'd like to add, what data we're looking to provide to conferences, what data we need to gather, things like that. We talked about community, so just people in terms of equity, in terms of volunteering, what initiatives we're thinking of, and then also global, so our regional growth, how we have different chapters, different regional committees, and how those have been growing. And tried to capture all of these into our accomplishments from year 1, as well as goals for year 2 and 3. And this is what we'll all be presenting today, or not all, most of us, I think, will be presenting. We also invited all of our other EC committees that are not necessarily, part of the executive committee, but are committees that also are SIGCAI committees that have been looking at various other topics, such as research ethics. So Casey is here, interactions, so Mikhail is here. And we'll go through those as well. So with that, we can get started. We have about 20 to 25 slides, and Luigi, if you could get us started. Yeah, thank you. And for everyone who's going over their slide, we ask that you limit it to 60 seconds if possible, not more than 75, just so that we can get through everything. And then we can see if there's questions at the end or if anything comes up that we want to discuss. But that's really our main agenda for today. So with that, let's get started. So if you can go to the next slide, Luigi. So this, if you see, it was around, this time last year that the new EC term began. And through the months of July, August, and September, we got our team together. And this is what we look like when we started. If you go to the next slide, we've shrunk a little. So people have moved on to other things, other goals, other life priorities. New people have stepped in to do these roles, making room for even more new people. And just a word here to thank those who served on the EC in the first year. So that includes Shawan Bartzel and Sammy Clegg and Josh Andres, who are no longer on the committee. Also Shade Rodriguez, who is not working with ACM anymore. So we have Ashley for now that we're working with, and Ashley has a lot of experience with working with Sakai, but we're going to have someone new in that role as well. So with these changes, there's also been changes in our other committees. So if you go to the next slide, this is how we started out again, and we look a little bit different now. So we have a few more people, and some of them are also stepping off soon. So I'd just like to take a moment to express deep gratitude for these volunteers. Also on the next slide, we have our various committees and all of these people who have been serving. And the next one. And this also shows the the committees that are about to be formed. So they're in different stages, but very soon we should have volunteers confirmed for the Comms Committee, Publications, Equity, the Mediterranean, Sakai Regional Committee, Futuring, the Hybrid Working Group, the Celebrations and Partnerships Committee that Susan is leading, that was just announced. And that's what we're looking forward to in the upcoming months. And so we're here today to recognize and to celebrate this work, to share what we've been doing with others, to get each other's thoughts on what we'd like to be doing for the future, and to just put some thoughts out there and get your feedback. It's also the time that ACM asks for our annual reports. So what our plan is to basically take what we talk about today, put it in a report, and then also share it with the Sakai community. So if we go to the next slide, this is a slide that we had in the CAI plenary, so it may look familiar, but as the Sakai EC, we've been working towards a few goals or aspirations, if you'd like. And most of our activities have been focused on our conferences and the infrastructure, both human and technical, that supports these conferences and makes them sustainable, equitable, safe, accessible spaces for knowledge production. We also look more broadly at the concerns of our community, right? So that are not specific to a single conference, but to all, and sometimes also to none, the spaces in between. And finally, a big focus in our current term in particular is on regional global community engagement. And across many roles, we've been trying to do some infrastructuring work to support the growth of HCI and Sakai across the globe. And so let's now hand it over to each of the EC members, so everyone can talk about what they've been busy doing and also what they're planning to do in the next couple of years. So starting with Andrew.
Thanks, Neha. Hi, all. Andrew Kuhn. I'm now the Executive Vice President, and I started my term as the VP for Finance. So during year one as VP Finance, I worked on with all of my colleagues on the Executive Committee on the fiscal year 23 budget. And in fact, through this, I think we were able to create a decent template that hopefully we'll be able to follow through the years. And then also I participated in this ACM Presidential Task Force on Overhead. You probably know that ACM increased our overhead recently. And so there was this task force that participated in that work. Currently, I'm part of the supporting the awards process. I'm also in this group looking at bylaws and potential changes to the bylaws. In general, supporting discussions around Sakai direction. And then in fact, there's a new task force on overhead, which I'm leading this year. And then for year three, I'm really looking forward to continuing to look at how the Sakai community can grow. And those things that really matter to me personally would be equity, transparency, and financial stability. So I'm hoping to really focus on that as well.
Thanks, Andrew. Luigi, 60 seconds.
Yes. So I started this year as the AC community support. So in year one as the AC community support, I mostly work around the Sakai Development Fund and the Gary Mazem Travel Award for structuring, restructuring some part of those two programs, streamline some processes, internal and external, and also helping set up the future INSICAI committee that Nea was mentioning before. And we are almost ready to get started. We are just 2 interviews missing in this week. For year 2 and 3, I will serve as the VP Finance. So my focus is more about the budget and the managing of the finances of the executive committee. So in year 2, I will work with the VP conference to revise the model of the overheads that Andrew mentioned before, and combine the development fund with the existing conference, specialized conference development fund, to merge them in one unique program for the community, as well as contributing to 2 working groups and lead the recruitment of a new AC for community support to follow the work that I did in the first year. And by the year 3, implementing the budget for the final year and leave the finances in a good place for the next EC.
Adriana,
So
you're
I'm
muted.
Adriana, yes.
Yeah.
I'm VP at large, handling, or dealing with global affairs, so to speak. And in year 1, we got the Latin American committee started. It was actually formed at the end of the previous EC term. But we sort of started, and I'm not going to go into detail on this, but we ran a number of activities, panels and workshops and things, and planning for events now in the year 2, and I count one of our greatest achievements as the creation of a new Costa Rica chapter, which I think was, we incentivized. Of course, it's not, we didn't create it, that went through chapters. But we also worked with Protea Kai in Ecuador members to set up training and workshops for the student design competition at KITE 23. So here's to hoping there will be some submissions from these regions. I ran hybrid SIGs and a number of events and helped with other SIGs and other things at KITE 22, along with other EC members. And we wrote some pieces for Global and on Medium and stuff. I also helped set up the Mediterranean Committee with Luigi, and it's set up, and now they'll be recruiting shortly. It's also been approved. The Global Committee and a hybrid working group have also been approved, and we are recruiting. We'll be talking to people this week and the next, and hopefully it will be formed shortly. For this year, year 2, Latin America, I think we missed my slide. Can we go back, Luigi, one slide? So Latin America will be running a number of initiatives, and of course, I'm not going to get into detail. We'll be recruiting a global committee, which will also have a number of goals, among which running guidelines for conferences and promoting showcases and identifying the needs for other regional committees and other issues. And we'll also be recruiting the hybrid working group, again, with the remit of working with guidelines and with conferences to support them in running hybrid events. We'll also be working with ACM on local and regional structures, and this is an ongoing conversations. I mean, what does it mean to have regional committees and city and country chapters and that sort of thing, and identifying partners, potential partners in local organizations and conferences that are HCI related that we can work with. And by year 3, next year, I hope to sort of formalize or to leave this for the next EC as strategies to move forward with internalization and hybrid. So maybe increasing engagement and awareness of the global community and how to support our conferences explorations of alternative formats to enable greater participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Naomi?
Yes, hello, I'm NAOMI YAMASHITA, VP at large. I mainly work on regional committee in Asia and also about membership. So first year, I formed Asia SIGCAI Committee, ASC, which is a steering committee that aims to activate HCI research and practices in Asia. So we co-created 3 projects. First one focusing on HCI education, second one identifying barriers and gaps, needs to collaborate within the region. Third one is enhancing HCI awareness in Asia. And for the membership, well, this basically it's mostly about bugging ACM and Ashley, but so far completed 2 projects. First one is reducing membership rates. So now you can become Sinkai members with most like half price than previous years. And also you now have an free electronic access to the Tokai Journal. And I also have like ongoing projects, which is about getting Sinkai alias and partnering with services products for discounts such as Overleaf, which is probably hopefully coming up in September, sometime in September, and Grammarly as well, and also working on other stuff. Second year for ASC, we will like to have more links with chapters, and by third year more link with global other regional committees. And for memberships, we want to develop a strategic plan for membership and volunteer relationship, because you know, Sinkai is all about volunteers, and then execute that plan in year 3. Okay, thank you.
Simone?
So yeah,
And just a quick reminder to try to keep it to 60 to 75 seconds at most. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Simone. I was in the first year AC of knowledge sharing, and in the next 2 years, I'm Vice President of Communication. And I also would like to take this opportunity and to thank Tammy for all her work in the first year. So what I did in the first year, so as AC of knowledge sharing, I started collecting data information about our Sinkai conferences, also supported the Vice President of Conferences, Susanne, in setting up our CSCC meetings, and in general I supported comms processes like managing mailing lists, social media messages, comms working group, and so on. And at the moment I'm also started to recruiting volunteers for the new comms committee. So if you like to join us, I'm happy to welcome you. So please follow the link, and also it's open if you're interested to be a member also of the comms committee. For the next year, the plan is to set up and to welcome the comms committee, to define comms workflows, for example, how we communicate between the ACs in order to share the information via social media, also to document the EC processes and also the voting histories. Therefore, also a project is how we can make more integrate the community, new initiatives and campaigns like community engagement. Also, I'm part of the redesign working group for the website, and again to continue to support knowledge sharing among the conferences. And for the last year, the plan is to promote transparency, the AC process, and normalize the information sharing and documentation, and stabilize the existing workflows, and also to identify and address new comms needs. Okay, thank you.
Matt, the sound isn't coming through, Matt.
How about that?
That's
All working? Great.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So really short and simple message here. In 2 years' time, chapters, the way we look at them, the way they're involved in what we're doing will have entirely changed. They're an amazing group of our community. They do so much work, but I think they are underutilized, undersupported, and that's all going to change by the end of year 3. We're going to do that by a series of programs starting right now, and you can see a list of them there. All of these programs are about getting people more visible, getting them more connected, doing what Neha said, ensuring that we understand the richness, the diversity of our community. And we got to those programs, we co-created them over this last first year with lots of conversations in CHI, in other meetings. It's been really great to meet such a range of colleagues over this last year, and indeed to welcome in a number of new chapters.
Thank you, Matt. Also, this is really, I just wanted to say the chapters that you mentioned that are thematic, this is a new thing as far as I know, and that's really exciting. Okay, next, Susanne.
Yeah, as a VP conferences in year one, in this new role, so I was really aimed to understand the whole process of our data collection, the processes that are also the mediating processes between the volunteers and the headquarters, where I'm more or less also acting as a mediator. We are onboarded new SICAI conferences, Compass 50% and CUI 100% SICAI. And we started working on updating SICAI conference work pages. What is new was the CSCC knowledge meeting. In times of the pandemic, it was all online and stayed online. So we decided to invent and initiated this new series with the help also of Simone and other EC members, in which we are sharing and we want to continue and deepen that in the future 2 years. As a VP conference, I do a lot of approvals, PAFs, TMRFs, closing budgets. This is all the language of ACM that comes with conferences, and that's something a VP conference handles, and also an appeal, which is happening rarely, but has to be dealt with great care, and that was this spring. For year two, we have a strong topic, which was already mentioned. The new overhead models has effects on how we are asking our conferences to contribute. So this has to be discussed with great care. We offer a new way, an easy way of getting and receiving funds with the merger of the SDF and the Specialized Conference Development Fund, and you will hear from that soon. What is really at my really goal, but it's difficult, that we have 26 conferences who handle a lot of things and data and historic data, which we want to help streamline and collect also as a way of knowledge sharing. And in year two, I want to implement a data scheme for systematic conference data that goes beyond what headquarters have in their backend, but really is appreciating the knowledge that is in the community. We will, with Adriana, implement and lead the hybrid working group. We'll work on new policies for accessibility, sustainability of conferences, again, to give guidance to conferences of how to do this and not let it leave it to them. They can still handle it, but we want to give support on these aspects. And of course, I will continue to work on the basic tasks like PAFs, TMRFs, and closing budgets. My large goal is that we have a thank you. My large goal is that we really have a tool support for that. This is going to be a high effort. It's going to be a volunteer approach. Probably will also collaborate with operations here, but we want to help future VP conferences to have a better support that moves away manual effort from editing web pages, or also from collecting data and at n different places, but get a better data collection and conference management support, and hopefully have this at the end of the year 3, at least in a first version, and other aspects that I mentioned here. So I'm looking forward to 2 highly active years.
Thank you, Susanne. Okay, so Cash isn't here, I think, because it is 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. for him, but he asked me to go through his stuff. I'll do it quickly. So he is committed to working on the SICAI Programs app, and by year 3 have a redesigned Programs app that is fully hybrid ready. Also with regards to PCS, so he's looking into possibilities to have a SICAI managed instance of PCS, and hopefully have our own instance, which is customized to our needs. There's a variety of other things that he's been doing, which comes under ops, so basically keeping us functional, He also is helping out with a website redesign, working group, upgrading video infrastructure and such, and all the other typical ops stuff. We can move on. Pageman, I think you're here. So do you want to read?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Pageman. I'm Vice President for Publication. I'm going to provide a quick update regarding our last year effort and the coming 2 years. So most of PUB's work is to work with ACM and our conferences, mostly to support conferences in terms of interpretation and implementation of ACM's publication and production guidelines. So that's been most of our work. Moving forward, we are establishing a publication committees, which is approved by the EC, and we have recruited members, and that's going to be hopefully approved today by the EC members. So we would have the publication committee. The main goal of the publication committee is to have a central group with the publication-related knowledge, that we basically share knowledge in terms of various aspects of publication within SIGCHI. And with a couple of key initiatives. One is to do our production support and publication support in a more effective way by having a group of volunteers who support conferences with their production and publication activities. We are starting developing some courses related to publication, mostly focusing on paper writing and reviewing, as well as looking at how the future of publication within SIGCHI may look like, especially given the recent changes in open access guidelines and things like that. Basically, at the end of the 3 years, my hope is to have a group of people that are knowledgeable about publication and can help the future EC in moving forward with these initiatives. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Pageman. Jeff, I think you're here.
Yes, I am here. I'm the editor-in-chief of PACM HCI, which falls under the VP of Publications realm. One thing to know about this, although the EIC has a 3-year term, it is not aligned with the EC. So I started just about 2 years ago. The main goal for my entire 3-year term is really to get ranked by Clarivate's Web of Science. And so that's really what we've been working towards the entire time. In the first year, just cleaning up some of the organization, really identifying and understanding the issues that were blocking our ranking, also doing some recruiting of new conferences. And then in the past year, really trying to address all the things we heard from Clarivate. We're not quite done with that, but we're getting closer. And in the next year, we have a few other goals as well. But the main thing still is to just try to conclude this Clarivate ranking process, hopefully in the next few months. And certainly by the end of year 3, we'll have some resolution on that. That's all I've got.
Thank you. And next we have Casey.
Hi. The Research Ethics Committee is a somewhat stable and reactive committee. We mostly support the reviewing process. And I would say that the biggest challenge, and one of the reasons I'm here, is just to remind people that we exist. We are really looking for ways to encourage reviewers to seek out our expertise when it might be helpful, and other ways that we can help the community. People are also welcome to reach out to us preemptively during the research design process if they need, but mostly remember that we're here and we're happy to provide expertise when anyone would find us helpful.
Thanks, Casey. And Mikhail.
Thank you very much. I'm Mikael Wiberg. I'm one of the co-editors-in-chief for Interactions, together with Daniela Rosner and Alice Taylor. Our term is also not aligned with the executive committee. So we're approaching the end of our term in the end of this year. And as you can see here, there's a call out for new team. But if we look back, we think that we have accomplished lots of things for the community. So if you think about Interactions, it's not a journal in that sense, but it's a magazine for our community. So we really tried over the past 3 years to reflect lots and lots of different interests in the community, but also sort of ways forward. And we have looked broadly at sort of where people are going with their research and their interests and so on. So if we look back, we have had different issues ranging from a special issue on the pandemic. So we have also been having these roles through tough times for all of us, I think, globally. So we had one issue on the pandemic. We have had one on inclusive and engaged HDI. We have had one on feminism, AI activism, global mobilities, tech labor, race, democracy, climate and sustainability, surveillance, smart cities, even spirituality and religion. We had one issue just coming out. We have also introduced new formats. So we have had theme issues. We introduced a dialogue format so that several authors could write smaller pieces in a dialogue format. And we have also had guest editors coming on board. I should also say that ACM has been wonderful here, supporting us with graphics and ways of moving the magazine in new directions. So it has been a pleasure doing it, but now it's Ron Wackbury sharing the new search committee. And I know that he's looking for people who can volunteer also to the search committee. So if you know people, just send him an email. I know that within the next couple of weeks, he's trying to put the search committee together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. Wait, is Nick here? Don't see her?
No.
Okay, maybe she will join later. She didn't say that she wasn't going to be here. We can come back then. So let's go to the next one. Stacy?
Hi, I'm Stacey BRANHAM, AC for Accessibility. And along with the 14 members of the Accessibility Committee, we have a number of ongoing initiatives that you can access in the slides. But this morning, I'd just like to share one with you. We're tackling the problem of PDF accessibility for blind screen reader users. Right now, PDF accessibility is a distributed responsibility that's borne by our volunteers and paper authors with very mixed results. So we're piloting an initiative whereby we centralize PDF accessibility and the EC pays directly for a third party to do the work. In year one, we've been pleased to work with the DIS and WIST conferences. In year two, we're hoping to expand to 5 additional conferences. And then in year 3, we hope to have some generalized guidelines based on our learnings and community feedback. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so Susan was unable to make it. She had an emergency, but I can just read this out for her. So she was leading, as AC for Partnerships, leading much of the work around building partnerships for SIGCHI, and is now recruiting the partnerships for the Partnerships Committee. She also coordinated a bunch of the SIGCHI Turns 40 celebrations and coordinated the Interaction Special Issue, which will be coming out later this year, and is also starting up the Celebration Committee. The name is TBD. We couldn't come up with the right title for this, but it's subject to change. And the goal of this committee is really to celebrate achievements of our community members and chapters and various sub-communities and such. So if you're interested, please apply. It's the same form on Submittable. And the next couple of years are going to be focused on building out these committees and their goals, and working with others on the EC to partner and to recognize achievements. So let's go to Priya. Priya, you're muted.
All right, thank you. Year one was focused primarily on getting settled into the EC, getting a sense of what everyone else on the EC was doing, how volunteer support issues intersected with what they were doing, and supporting existing efforts like the SIGs at CHI. The plan for year two is to take that and bring it more to the community, open it up to the community, host a community session to talk about volunteer issues, create a committee to work on things, promote awareness of existing materials to address volunteer support, and then also to spotlight and celebrate our volunteers to showcase the diversity of the work they do, but also the pathways to contribute to SIG-CHI. And then year three kind of reflects what I hope to sort of accomplish overall, which is ultimately provide more clarity in terms of what volunteers do and what pathways there are to get into volunteering in every stage of your career. Thank you.
Okay, and Kale, I think, is not here, right? Kale is unwell. So in year one, Kale completed the Equity Talk series and wrote the final blog post on the last one, also organized a SIG at CHI 22, has been moderating open sessions with SIG-CHI community members on different topics, and proposed and is now recruiting for the Equity Committee. So year two's goal is to set up the Equity Committee to create and document protocols for knowledge collection, knowledge keeping, knowledge transfer with an equity mindset. This is across all events, so virtual and on-site events, and then create a report on the current state of equity in SIG-CHI, introduce an allyship and bystander training program, and this is in collaboration with CARES as well. Work towards building a solidarity network across SIG-CHI and define what that looks like, and that's probably going to continue on to year three. Begin the next series of equity talks and propose future goals for the next equity chair. And I'm not sure if we have Michael or Celine here. I think not. So I can just read this out. So in 2022, which is when Michael and Celine took on their role as chairs of CARES, supporting SIG-CHI people's concerns, listening in both formal and informal cases, exploring new approaches to intervention, especially online intervention, exploring multiple models of justice, providing liaisons to some, not all SIG-CHI conferences with potential for active involvement, and tracking policies regarding the sanctions database. Current concerns, working within ACM stated restrictions, so there's some navigation required, difficulty of working with allegations and rumors without clear outcomes, need more members, need more diversity among membership. Future possibilities, training for our membership, so facilitation, intervention, justice, and this aligns with what I just mentioned from Kale's goals, potential to transfer selected learnings from training to allyship programs. Next, please. So wait, we skipped one. Yes, Kristi.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kristi Audette. I'm the project manager for SIG-CHI, and I am really proud to be part of the EC, or to support the EC in their tasks. Essentially in year one, I just supported the transition and kind of tried to observe and create different workflows that might make sense. Supported some of this, the open meeting process, and trying to figure out the best way to accomplish access by the community to our meetings and promoting those. Just again, working and observing, trying to figure out ways to streamline workflows and make sure that things are happening in a timely manner, and that we're supporting the community and the EC members as they try to put together these wonderful tasks that they do. For year two, I would like to take that further and understand better what the administrative processes are for certain like our community support. There's a big administrative process for that through ACM. That's a challenge at times. I want to support Neha and Andrew in creating and finalizing an EC handbook with document processes and policies, or documenting that, and assisting with the website redesign and learning how to better support the updating of the website and keeping that where it needs to be, and helping the awards subcommittees to be able to choose the 2023 SIG-CHI awardees and communicate with them effectively to be sure that everybody is in the loop and understands what we're doing for different pieces of the awards. And then just essentially by year 3, we're working to transition to a new EC, and again, providing assistance with onboarding and administering the current processes, and continue to improve on this and streamline as we move into a new EC. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristi. Luigi, could we go back to Nick, please? Because I see Nick is here. Yes, Nick, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Yes, so this year was mostly finding out, determining what sustainability committee should be about and how to tackle somewhat often controversial issues. So we set up a brilliant committee for people all around the world, although we're still lacking 2 representatives from Latin America and Africa. And if you know anyone, please ask them to apply. We've contributed to discussions about carbon offsetting options for conferences, divided up some tasks, made some contributions to the hybrid working group, and launched funds for sustainability-oriented projects. And in the next year, in the coming year, we are very much trying to see how we can implement benchmarking and monitoring for conferences, sustainability impact, as well as make contributions to ethics curricula, education curricula, and more sustainable prototyping methods.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Nick. Helena, you go next.
Thanks, Neha. So I am the past president, and a lot of that job is to be the memory, which I did for the past year, helping the transition, making sure things moved along. As Kara's mentioned, there was a lot with regards to the sanctions database, and I was actually working with the ACM to try to understand how SIG-CHI committees and conferences need to use that database and try to get some processes and procedures in place. And I also supported the awards committee, who was trying to address some of the workflows and committee chair selection. For this next year, I agreed to help with the restructuring of the SIG-CHI bylaws. My focus particularly is I want to improve the SIG's organization's flexibility, as well as volunteer maintenance, because it's a lot of work, as you can see, to be a SIG-CHI EC member. I'm contributing to the website redesign, and a lot of that is really to focus again on making sure that we're able to easily share out processes and policies for both our conferences as well as our volunteers. I've agreed to, and this is actually something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So as you might have seen, the ACM is having calls for nominations for their ACM level awards. And I think that SIG-CHI should be getting more, SIG-CHI members should be getting more of these awards. So I'm helping moving that working group forward, as well as finalizing maybe one of these days and instantiating our SIG-CHI data access policy, which makes it a little bit clearer as to how data needs to be handled by SIG-CHI in alignment with GDPR as well as ACM policies. So we're not making up totally new things. And then of course, the last year is we actually need to select a new SIG-CHI leadership. So typically in the past, the president asks the past president to manage that process, put together a committee, et cetera, et cetera. I am here for the president to call upon me when she deems necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So I've tried to note down a few things that we try to do together, so may not have appeared on people's individual sides, but just joint efforts. So in year 1, worked with the EC to appoint VPs and ACs via open calls, introduce ACs for partnership, sustainability, knowledge sharing, and community support. These were roles that hadn't existed before. Introduce a permanently open call for volunteering, which has been great so far, and also raise some challenges that we're hoping to address. Open up AC meetings for greater transparency and community engagement, and it's been great to have some of you with us in each meeting. Organize open sessions on community relevant topics, so we've had conversations about hybrid, about awards, solidarity, and such. and then generating blog posts and interactions articles and various SIGCHI relevant topics. For year 2, I hope that we will continue to center safety, accessibility, sustainability, global equity in both bottom-up and top-down ways. Restructure SIGCHI EC bylaws, just as Helena mentioned, redesign our website, introduce handbooks for members, for conferences, for volunteers. We've started that work. We're about halfway there, I'd say. Introduce new awards, recognition for honoring diverse contributions. This is something we're working on right now. Create avenues for mentorship for volunteers across ages and stages. Work with ACM on bolstering member benefits and workflows. And this is an ongoing conversation, working also across SIGs to make change. So we're thinking of coming together as a few SIGs that have some alignment in their goals to try to do events that will be more broader. And by year 3, hopefully we'll be ready to hand over a well-managed, financially healthy, equitable and inclusive, robust, volunteer-centric, sustainably growing organization to the next EC. Okay, so with that, I think we come to the end of our slide deck, but is there anyone who's here who'd like to add to that and didn't have a chance to put in a slide? And if not, are there any questions about anything in particular that you would have hoped to see but didn't see, or that you saw but didn't quite understand? Okay, silence. Okay, then I think we are done. So thank you all for joining. And we will see you next month. And you should see a written up report of all of this before our next meeting. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye.